these markets, as well as the skin care prevention and sunburn markets, which are newer than the first three. And we hope to first pursue radiation dermatitis, which is similar from sunburn. It results from burns that occur when patients are being treated with radiation therapy for cancer. We have assembled a team of world-class skin researchers, and last summer we went through the Lean Launchpad startup program to iterate our idea and develop market research on the skin solutions that we have developed. We aim to be in clinical trials by the end of this year, and we're excited about this opportunity to gain business partnerships and investment opportunities. Please talk to any members of our team afterwards if you're interested and want to learn more. Thank you.
Hi, Luke.
Hi, Dan.
Good to see you again.
You too.
As a fellow redhead, I'm certainly interested in your technology. Since your Launchpad experience, tell this group a little bit about defining what the cost of your product is and how the market might react to that cost.
So I think one of the greatest challenges in the cost of our product is scaling so that we can make this large enough so that we can market it. Some of the progress we've made in the past year is doing additional experiments in model systems, as well as gaining IRB approval for the radiation dermatitis experiments in humans.
In a 10-second nutshell, what exactly is the mechanism of action of the compound that's in Afterburn?
So we're using nanotechnology to improve the delivery and activity of molecular targeted therapies to the skin.
But do you come up with those therapies, or are you only the delivery vehicle?
We come up with those therapies as well. So like our platform technology is the delivery vehicle, but we're also doing research on these technologies. So like, of course, like we're iterating based on the technologies that exist or the therapies that exist, but we believe that, and our data has shown that we can vastly improve the delivery and activity of these therapies.
In theory, you could approach big companies with your vehicle and say, we can deliver your material better than...
Right, exactly. We can go to them and say, we can make what you do better.
And that relates a bit to my question. So is Afterburn the same exact formulation for sunburn as it is for dermatitis, radiation dermatitis, and for the other indications as well? Or is each one its own product that would need a separate approval process?
So sunburn is similar enough to radiation dermatitis that the formulation would be similar, if not identical. In terms of like psoriasis and other diseases like that, it would be a different molecular targeted therapy.
Why not start selling immediately $100 for a tiny tube anti-aging thing that actually works unlike all of the other ones and requires no clearance?
So that's something we've thought about. We felt like with radiation dermatitis, it would be easier to do the clinical trial first, and we could be charging $500 and it would be covered by a patient's deductible that's already been met.
Okay, Genome Collective, we actually don't have your talk. Can you get it down? Alan, can you, for Legion, can we just do a swap when we get Genome Collectives loaded? Alan, are you ready? All right. So this is Legion.
Well,
Or not. You guys want to go first?
Yeah. You're on deck.
All right, hi, my name is Stephen Hart. I'm the Associate Director for Bioinformatics in the Clinical Genome Sequencing Lab and an Assistant Professor in the Department of Health Sciences Research.
Hi, this is Asif Hussain. I'm a Unit Manager at Mayo Clinic, and we are the Genome Collective. We also have Travis here. All right, raise your hand if you have ever used Google, Facebook, or Twitter. Yeah, that's what we expected, and we have some bad news for you. You've been ripped off. Every day, these companies collect your personal information and sell it at a premium without you, the consumer, even knowing about this. And guess what? So most of this information is probably you think benign, your Google searches, your Facebook shares, and your shopping habits. But the same exact thing happens with research and clinical data. These companies do the exact same thing. You send in your genome material with some of your information, they run some experiments, and turn around and sell your personal information at a premium to third-party companies. And what gets us really fired up is now these companies are actually sharing any of this profit with you, the consumer. I mean, if you think about it, it's your data, you're putting in the time and effort to building this collection.
And that's why we built the Genome Collective, a medical data brokerage firm specializing in genomics and electronic healthcare record data surveys. We believe that the data belongs to the participant, you, and not some monolithic institution. And if people are buying data for a premium, shouldn't you be able to sell it? We think so, and we want to facilitate that relationship. So what does that actually mean if the data is yours? Well, if you can sell the data at a cost smaller than what it takes to actually generate it, you can make a profit. And if you want to think about it in terms of genetic sequencing, in our genetics lab, we have single gene tests that cost on the order of $4,000 a piece for maybe one gene. We can do the entire genome at a fraction of that. Plus, we also give you the opportunity to navigate through your genome itself and find out other interesting facets that you otherwise would not have been able to recognize, like your ancestry or other clinically relevant pieces of information that may not have been available otherwise. We actually want to do this because we want to empower you, the participants, the consumers, to actually drive forward the field of personalized medicine. So hopefully together we can stop ripping each other off and start working together collectively. Thank you.
So why should I care that people are selling my personal information as long as the service is anonymizing it and still providing enough value to me for me to continue using it?
That's a very nice way of saying I have enough money and I don't need any more. But I can tell you, especially for the target market that we really want to go after, which are minorities and underrepresented populations, that is not an option that they want to explore. I mean, I remember when I was in college, I was donating plasma to make money a couple of times a week. So
is this like I sell my information for thousands of dollars, or this doesn't seem like very valuable information?
Actually, our platform not only monetizes it, it gives you another option. It gives you the control. So, you may not need the money and you may want to donate it, but you probably still want to see how your data is being used. Right now, it's a black hole. When the data goes in, you have no idea how this data is being used. Let's say, for example, you're a patient and your data was collected. Maybe this data is being used for your research. Maybe you want to donate the money that you get from the company for that research cause. And our platform would enable you to do that as well.
So if I'm a customer, tell me how this works. I sign up for your service. I pay you to sequence my genome. How does it
So there's a couple of entry points here. So one entry point is the consumer-driven genetics app like 23andMe, where we send you a kit, you send information, maybe a little bit of money to help offset the cost of doing the whole genome sequencing. We put your data in the system and we give you access to the website. Then consumers or the companies will actually come in and try and buy different cohorts. And so they'll have to submit an IRB-approved protocol that says, this is what I want to do with your data. Do you agree or disagree? If you agree, then I'll cut you a check. The other way of doing it is to partner with genetic sequencing providers, kind of like MML, ARUP, some of these other clinical genetic testing services, because if we can start sequencing these and selling the data to these sequences for an entire genome at less than the cost of a single gene panel that we're doing here, well then I don't see how you wouldn't do that.
Are these potential buyers of this data already getting the milk for free?
A lot of times they do get it for free. So if you think about the government repository dbGaP, so anytime you're using NIH-funded money for genetic studies, you're supposed to deposit your information in there. However, they deposit the very minimal information so that you don't get as much value out of it, and that's what we want to change.
So just in follow-up to my question, so you've got somebody who's got an IRB-approved protocol, comes in for a specific cohort, then you're then giving some of that revenue that they've paid the Genome Collective back to the participants in the cohort?
That's right. They get a percentage of revenue based off every time their data gets sold. It goes into the queue, and every year they get a dividend based on the number of sales that that particular individual has contributed to.
Thanks, guys. That was awesome.
Okay, Lei-Jin.
I feel like I've been here before. Okay, I'm Alan Malmerstein. I'm a professor at Mayo Clinic. I'm also the founder of Lei-Jin Laboratories. We are a Minnesota-based LLC, and we've been around now for about a year. Damage to the retinal pigment epithelium causes vision loss in 3 million Americans and over 30 million people worldwide. It occurs through a combination of genetic causes and drug toxicity. Pharma generates $10 billion a year in drugs to treat only 10% of the people who have these problems, which means that 90% of people who suffer from RPE damage currently are unaddressed. And the reason that that's unaddressed is we need better models to deal with this. The reason we need better models is this is the model that exists today. We have 2 different cell lines that have been long established, but these cell lines don't work very well. They don't have the properties of the RPE cells that are being damaged in these disease states. In fact, they're so bad that the top ophthalmology journals have recently decided to no longer accept papers using these cell lines. Lei-Jin's product looks like an RPE cell, smells like an RPE cell, tastes like an RPE cell. So you can imagine it must be an RPE cell. You can see it has pigment, and RPE means retinal pigment epithelium. They also form cobblestone or hexagonal-like monolayers of epithelia, which these other lines don't do. And maybe most importantly, biochemically, they express the right protein markers, which the other cell lines don't. Lei-Jin Laboratories makes these cells available off the shelf. They're derived from induced pluripotent stem cells, and so not only can we make them from one line, but we can make them to express the entire array of human genetic diversity, as well as disease. What's the market? We went and tested this market at the Association for Research in Vision and Ophthalmology back in May. We had a booth there where we talked to attendees at the meeting. There were over 11,000 from academic, clinical, and industrial vision science. What we found was that a wide variety of companies were interested in our product. These included Genentech, Novartis, Regeneron, Sanofi. The cost of our product on a unit basis, which would be $750 to $1,100, was well tolerated by the people we spoke to. Academic lab heads indicated that they would use between 1 and 2 units a month, or 12 to 24 per year, and pharmaceutical companies indicated that if they were interested in our product, they would buy between 5 and 30 for assay development and up to 1,000 units for drug screens. The result of this is that we predict annual sales to academic researchers at $500,000 a year and to pharma of well over $3 million a year. What's our competition? There isn't any. Although there are other companies like Axol, CDI, and Applied Stem Cell Technologies that currently sell IPS or induced pluripotent stem cell derived cells, none of them sell RPE, and in fact none of them sell cell types that are from the eye, which is our niche. Our other competition, of course, would include researchers and companies doing it themselves. There are very few, and of course the accepted cell lines are dropping out of favor. So what's the risk? Not much. Our business model, we're bootstrapping it. We've already generated between a seed round and loans enough money to build a production facility, and we're ready to make sales. We even have inventory. Market timing, perfect. Nobody else is making IPS RPE, and the journals don't want to publish the cell lines that exist. Everybody's hungry for an alternative. Market size, we need 1/10. That's 1/10 of the U.S. market to be profitable. Anything more than that, icing on the cake. Financially speaking, we've been through the seed round, like I said, and we have licenses or will shortly with everybody we need to have future IP. But where do we go from here? It's a single cell type. Well, like CDI, which is a $100+ million company, Lei-Jin Laboratories is going to expand its line of offerings. We're not only going to offer additional cell types, though, but all of the materials you need to support that. That includes tissue culture media, antibodies, and kits for specific assays, and we'll provide custom assistance to pharmaceutical companies who are looking to develop new drug screens. Last, we're interested in entering the cell therapy market. Our production line will allow us to set up the GMP line we need to get into cell therapy, and these cells are already being tested for treatment of dry AMD. Questions?
If you're ready to make sales, why are you not making sales?
Dotting I's and crossing T's on a couple of license agreements.
That sounds like a red flag for giant IP issues that are not resolved.
I won't go there, but it's not what it sounds like.
So if the technology's out there, would that one risk be that somebody else